It's hard not to watch The Lord of the Rings with an eye of wonder. Each moment seems to build on the next, supplying enchanting New Zealand vistas and epic camera movements that imbue magic into each shot. But at the core of this magical universe lies the physical, the real world that the films are built around. On the hillsides of national parks and the slopes of volcanoes, the work of Lord of the Rings seems to pay homage to the beauty of New Zealand's natural landscapes. And in doing so, the trilogy lays down a quiet environmentalism throughout its story, ultimately heroicizing the image of the natural world. You can see this imagery at play throughout the film, but let's start at the beginning. The Shire. The Shire offers a perfect example of the trilogy's utopic representation of the natural world. Indeed, the film begins and ends with a vision of the Shire, untouched and oblivious to the outside world. In a way, the Shire, with its houses literally intertwined with the grassy knolls that shelter them, represents the Middle-earth that could have been, an environmental fantasy of coexistence with the natural world. But this adoration of the natural trickles through almost every facet of Middle-earth. The characters and races defending Middle-earth show their righteousness through sympathy with the flora and fauna. We see this in Gandalf's unaltered tree branch of a staff, the leaf-shaped clasps gifted to the Fellowship, and Rivendell's architecture, which seamlessly incorporates waterfalls and trees. All of these elements of the mise-en-scène seek to group our heroes with nature, and ultimately associate nature with virtue. Let's take a look at a pivotal scene halfway through the second film of the series.
Climb up sometimes and they tickle me awfully. Always trying to get somewhere with it. Many of these trees were my friends. Creatures I had known from nut and acorn.
I'm sorry, Treebeard.
They had voices of their own. Saruman.
So let's pause here. This over-the-shoulder shot of Treebeard looking at the dark landscape of Isengard is the cornerstone of this scene. It cleanly depicts the opposition between nature and industry through space and value. The shot quickly ties the dark, scorched earth of the cutover in the middle ground to the menacing smoke emanating from the fires of Isengard. Treebeard's branches occupy the foreground and left of the frame, while Isengard counters this presence on the right of the frame and in the background. Treebeard's actions and narrative course pull at the viewer's emotions. Akin to a kind-hearted grandfather, Treebeard's virtue reveals just how evil Saruman has become. By visually juxtaposing Treebeard's righteousness with Isengard's scorched earth mentality, the film influences the audience's desire for untouched land. Treebeard's lament highlights the trilogy's use of nature to visually establish a narrative binary, but the effect of this binary is key. The Lord of the Rings' quiet environmentalism underlies the conflict between good and evil, a battle that is eventually won by the protagonists, the same characters who then lead a life of coexistence with, rather than aggression towards their natural environment. In a sense, the Lord of the Rings trilogy uses the conflict between man and orc, between elves and Uruk-hai, and between wood and axe as a drawing board to shape ideas and envision a better way to live on Earth. Because isn't that really the purpose of a good fantasy film? To show us a vision of what we could achieve, a fantasy of what could be? Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. It takes a lot of energy and time to make videos like these, so please consider subscribing. Also, check out last week's video on Trump's nominee for the head of the EPA.